Shomrabyug.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Collecting Issues, where this week we'll be taking a look at the Dark Phoenix Saga from Marvel Comics, collecting issues 129 to 137 of the Uncanny X-Men run by the legendary creative team of Chris Claremont and John Byrne.
You forgot to say first published. You always say first published.
Do I?
Yeah.
First published in the 1980s.
The bloody 1980s, Ben. Before even you were born.
No, before even you were born.
Before even I was born. I feel, Ben, you also failed to note that created by legendary sex weirdo Chris Claremont.
Legendary bloody oddball.
He's a real
Chris
sex
Claremont.
weirdo, but look, we'll get into that.
This is going to be an interesting one, Mick, because we chose something intentionally older than both of us. I didn't realise when I picked it up it was older than you.
Marginally older than me, Ben.
It is by 3 years, Michael.
2 years, Ben.
3 years, Michael.
2 years. I'm the one who knows how old I am.
No. You were born in 1983, Michael.
No, I wasn't.
That's canon. That's canon.
All right.
1983.
You're like a Jonathan Hickman. You're just retconning my whole existence.
Tweaking all of it.
Benjamin.
Yes.
Who even is this comic?
Well, this is probably, I think everybody knows this comic. If not the original comic book, you've probably heard of it in a movie sense since then, because it's been covered twice by the Marvel.
At least twice.
But by the Marvel Studios. Once by the original X-Men movies, and it was Dark Phoenix, I think that's what it was called, or what was it? What was it? X-Men End.
X-Men End.
X-Men End.
X-Men End. What was it? The end of the Dark Phoenix.
Welcome back to Professional Podcasting 101, where you can just take a stab in the dark as much as you like. It was the third in the trilogy of the original Bryan Singer X-Men Last Stand, and it was a loose adaptation of
Loosey-goosey.
The Dark Phoenix Saga. The Dark Phoenix Saga is incredibly cosmic. And
well, Ben, is it?
Yes, it is.
What is it?
Well, we'll get into that.
We'll get into that in a minute.
And then it was much more recently adapted, Michael, in the very ill-fated 2019 Dark Phoenix adaptation with the new X-Men First Class kind of continuity.
Not great.
Bloody messy stuff, Michael.
Not great.
Messy stuff. A flop. By anyone's standards.
Yeah, you will. Ben, also, adapted in the legendary 1980s, 90s X-Men cartoon
early
based
90s.
on Linda the Policewoman.
Linda the Policewoman.
Linda.
Linda.
Look, if you don't know what that's about, you're going to have to go look that up. But also, Ben, adapted in nearly every incarnation of X-Men.
Yeah, it's a staple.
Yeah, the X-Men Evolution comics, I think they did a version of it. The Ultimate X-Men, Marvel's kind of edgy relaunch in the early 2000s, they did a version of it.
They gave it a whirl.
Yeah, so basically, if the X-Men are around long enough, you're going to get some version of this story.
Yeah, provided that it's allowed by Marvel at some point.
And the question is, though, Ben, is why does it keep coming back?
I would imagine...
Go on.
It comes back because it's so dramatic, Michael.
Is it?
It's such a big moment. I think one of the most interesting things here, Michael, is for me, who doesn't read a lot of older comic books.
No,
Michael,
you're very post-millennial.
This is a jarring difference between modern writing in comic books and what people got away with back in the day. There's so much drama, Michael. Let's begin, Michael.
All right.
Let's begin with a little bit of casual racial stereotyping.
Oh, we're starting with casual racial stereotyping.
Oh, Michael, it abounds. No,
we're not even going to talk about the plot. We'll do straight into the racism.
Let's do the beats. Let's do the beats of the plot and cover that. So if you haven't read it, ladies and gentlemen, you shouldn't be listening to this podcast.
Yeah, that's not what this is for. It's a book club for people who've read the comic. What are you doing?
Go read the comic and get back to us. That's very aggressive. Anyway, it starts, Michael.
Yeah.
On Muir Island,
yeah.
Off the coast of Scotland, which is a famous kind of X-Men staple as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's where Dr. Moira McTaggart runs her little centre for the deformed mutants.
Oh, I don't know if that's what they say.
The ugly mutants that can't pass for human. So they get shipped off to a little Scottish island. Yeah. And there's a parting of the ways, Michael. Mm-hmm. A parting of the ways taking place. Banshee, also known as Sean Cassidy, he's lost his old Banshee holler.
He got a sore throat.
He's got a bit of laryngitis, a bit of strep throat.
Both of us.
Like both of us, almost all of the time. And he's going to stay on the island, and the X-Men are like, no, Sean, don't go.
Now, Ben, I'm just going to interrupt you very briefly. This is more of a podcast discussion. This could have been an off-air discussion. But you've spent so long describing there something that happens essentially in one panel that if you keep that pace, we're going to be here for 4 hours.
Welcome to the 4-hour deep dive on X-Men Dark Phoenix. Anyway, we move on from there. We see all the goodbyes and stuff like that.
Come on, get to the point.
And then we're introduced to a problem that Jean Grey has been having.
Right.
She thinks that she's time traveling.
You're losing your voice.
Yes. She thinks that she's time traveling.
Yeah.
When she's actually being manipulated by a kind of classic X-Men creep. I think that Chris Claremont sees himself as Jason Wingard.
Yeah, he's kind of like a mind-controlling sex weirdo.
Yeah, I think if we had to pick a character that Chris Claremont most identifies with in this run, it's Jason Wingard.
Jason Wingard, yeah.
Who is telepathic in this, but traditionally has illusions.
Well, I mean, he's very specifically stated not to be telepathic.
Yeah.
And it turns out there's some doodad.
Yeah, there's a thing that's broken. Enhancing his powers or something. Anyway, he's been kind of gaslighting,
basically,
Jean Grey.
Yeah.
And making her think that she's a time-travelling ancestor.
A time-travelling ancestor who's in love with Jason Wingard's ancestor.
Which is so weird.
Oh, he's a sex-controlling mind freak.
And Jason Wingard is currently a member of the Hellfire Club, which later became a huge staple of the X-Men.
Yeah.
They're always running up against the bloody Hellfire lads.
This comic is the introduction of the Hellfire Club.
I think it is the introduction of the Hellfire Club. This is an introduction of quite a few things.
That's a very interesting. Go on with the plot, and then we'll get back to like the influence. But fucking speed it up.
So yeah, sorry. Anyway, that's turning things around. Jean's a bit at sea mentally.
Yeah. And literally because she's on a ship.
And literally, it's the reintroduction of later on they land in Professor X, and Professor X is there, and Professor X is a bit of a dickhead for no reason whatsoever.
Always has been, always will be.
He's a pushy, bloody, petulant child who's putting the X-Men through their paces, and Scott's like, I did all this.
Back off.
I sorted out the team, and he's like, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. My team.
Back off, bald dad.
Back up. Just take it easy there, Pops.
Yeah.
Okay, Boomer. It's literally probably the first instance of, okay, Boomer.
Although I think Scott's probably a boomer, isn't he?
He is now, yeah. Anyway, that moves on from there. The X-Men get an El Cerebro blip. And it's only a bloody trap, Michael, set by the Hellfire Club themselves. And they go and they respond to this. And it's Dazzler?
Well, again, it doesn't really matter. The point of the matter is that Jean is slowly going mad because Jason Wingard wants her to be the Black Queen of the Hellfire Club.
Yes.
And he's kind of manipulating her into becoming the Black Queen. And he knows she's powerful, but he's not quite aware of quite how powerful she is, and that there's a greater cosmic power just waiting there,
residing within,
trapped within her fragile female mind.
Oh,
that's not me. That's Chris Claremont.
We'll get into that. Don't you worry. That's coming, Michael.
That's bloody Chris Claremont.
That's coming.
So anyway, the majority of this book is about the X-Men battling the
Knights of the Hellfire Club,
the inner circle of the Hellfire Club, for basically the soul of Jean Grey.
Yeah.
So as you said earlier, you said this is very cosmic, but only the last bit.
Only the last little bit. I would argue, Michael, that the first part is the more interesting part anyway. The cosmic stuff is a bit... It gets very dark, Michael.
Well, I think the cosmic stuff is great, but the cosmic stuff, all of the classic Dark Phoenix stuff, the red suit, the eating a star, the blowing up a spaceship, the battle on the moon,
killing an entire planet,
the killing an entire race, all of that happens in a single issue.
Yeah.
And that's not... If you didn't know this story very well, you may well pick this up and be 3/4 of the way through it going, this is the wrong comic.
That's what surprised me, Michael.
I've got the wrong comic here. I thought she goes to space.
Yeah, I did have that reaction.
Why is she in fetish wear in New York?
What's going on?
Why
is Warren Worthington using his money and affluence instead of his powers? What's going on?
What's going on here?
So anyway, we can look a little bit more closely at that Hellfire Club end of things. They're just a rich bunch of dickheads, Michael.
Yeah, and mutants.
And they get bloody... Well... Scott tries to infiltrate them by getting Warren Worthington to kind of use his flash the cash a little bit and get them an invite. But it's only another ruse, Michael. And they get trapped, and then it turns out that all the gaslighting that Jason Wingard's been doing works.
Yeah.
And Jean Grey's just there going, right, give me a pair of sexy boots there, please.
Yeah.
An old cape.
And an old corset.
We'll get that on me. Get that on me.
Did you know that her outfit is more or less exactly the outfit that Emma Peel wears in an episode of The Avengers, the original British Avengers?
Well, I think I did know that because you've mentioned that before.
Yeah. It's almost exactly. I can't remember what it's called. It's not called the Hellfire Club. It's called something like the Heck Inferno Club.
It's the Chris Claremont Formative Club.
It is. Chris Claremont watched it as a young man. Look, Ben, we've all been there. He watched it as a young man, and he said, in 20 years, I'm going to write a blooming comic all about
this lady.
All about putting an innocent lady into this bloody outfit. And then she'll go mad because she's got a frail female mind.
I got it. Yeah. Gold, Michael. So we keep talking about Chris Claremont, Michael. We're going to have to get into that a little bit.
Yes, right.
So there are a number of things here that probably set it apart as an older comic, Michael.
Yes.
Female representation being one of the biggest in the set.
Go on.
There's some controversial things going on here. I think it would be fair to say, Michael, that Chris Claremont is a bit of a sex pest.
I don't know if he's a sex pest in real life. He might be a perfectly respectable gentleman. I've never heard a rumour that...
No, he doesn't do anything weird. I don't think that's fair. He's not a sex pest.
I've never heard a rumour that Chris Claremont will touch your bottom.
But he enjoys a BDSM aesthetic.
He does. He likes a lady who'll stand on him.
Yeah, a bondage.
Yes.
You and I did a quick Twitter search earlier. Tentacles are a thing in Chris Claremont's world.
There are no tentacles in this.
There are no tentacles in this. This, I think, Michael, you had the perfect comment earlier. You said this is early Chris Claremont. These are the seeds of future Chris Claremont.
I don't think this is early Chris Claremont. Well, yes, I see what you're saying. I don't think these are the seeds, though. I think all the weird stuff is still there. This is it slowly creeping out.
Okay.
This is not quite the psychosexual nightmare that later Chris Claremont things are. But, I mean, there's some definite... Odd sex stuff is the driving force of this book.
There's a lot of female subjugation.
There is a lot of female subjugation. Often, Ben, it's Storm. Storm loses a lot of fights and she gets tied up a lot. She gets put in a cage. She gets put on a cross. She gets dragged around by the hair a good bit.
Yeah.
There's one point where she's dressed up as a slave and someone slaps her with a whip and
don't
says,
know how I feel about that.
Be quiet, slave. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of female Yeah, I know. You don't need to show me, Ben. I've seen it.
I know. I'm just enjoying doing this, leafing through. Like, even to be fair, yes, the men also have a lot of sexualization going on.
There is, and I mean, I don't think that it's unfair to say that Wolverine spends more time in this shirtless than he had up to that point.
Also, Sebastian Shaw.
Shaw, buy a shirt, Sebastian Shaw.
That's Sebastian Shaw's superpower is strutting around with no hint of a cold.
Yeah, with a cumberbatch. No, not a cumberbatch. A cummerbund and no top on.
It's bloody odd.
He is, Ben, to quote the modern people's vernacular, he's thick. He's got that hefty dad bod going on.
2 C's.
Yeah.
2 C's.
But he'll grab Storm and he'll put her in an arm lock and knock her out.
Oh, he did it.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of that going on.
And then she'll get tied up again. And
then it's interesting because later Jean Grey takes away Colossus's powers. So he loses his metal. And he's just a bloody topless Colossus again.
It's a topless man. It's a psychosexual nightmare.
So good.
Wolverine is like a sexy carpet running around with no top on. Oh no, look at me, I've got no top on, I'm so hairy.
Ooh.
Yeah, it looks like I still have a top on.
Yeah.
I'm a sexy Canadian carpet.
Yeah, I would almost guarantee that Chris Claremont refers to Hugh Jackman as Hugh Jackman.
I don't know, excuse me. Sorry. I don't know. I suspect that some of that is John Byrne. I suspect John Byrne said, if you're going to make me draw all this sex stuff, I'm putting Wolverine in with no shirt.
Boy, they're going to be sexy. Oh boy, it's going to be sexy. I think him and John Byrne get on very well. I think I would imagine that John Byrne's like, but what if I put them in a cage? And Chris is like, oh yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Let's go put them in a cage. Yeah,
put them in cages too, so people don't realise what they're
at. But even if we move past the subjugation of women on a physical level here, Michael, and the exploitation of the female form in this comic, we could probably take a look at the hysterical female mind that you...
no, you can't you can't trust them. They're no good. They're so frail.
They're so frail. Such unstable creatures.
Oh, God. So much power, but so frail.
I mean, Jean Grey she oscillates between the most powerful cosmic force in the universe and, oh God, I'm so torn.
Well, isn't it ironic that she's the most powerful cosmic force in the universe, but she is still just a frail young woman.
A frail young lady.
She's a victim of her own power.
I think what I enjoy the most about that, Michael, is when she goes to visit her family. There's a section where she kind of drops in on the family, and she has her parents turn around to her and they're like, "Oh, are you eating enough?"
Yeah,
like,
that's good. I like that.
There's something clearly wrong with Jean Grey.
Her parents must be Irish.
Are you eating enough?
Are you eating enough? Look very thin.
Like, and they're like, what's with this costume? It's a bit scandalous.
Yeah, have you seen this costume I have to wear, Mother? I can't eat. I have an apple. I'm intermittent fasting.
I'm on the bloody 24 ratio of intermittent fasting. And then her father is like, you're no daughter of mine. I cast you out.
He says, I cast you out. Did people say I cast you out in the 80s? I don't know what's going on there.
That's what I mean. Sometimes the dialogue here, Michael, is just shocking.
Look, Ben, here's another thing we should talk about.
Go on.
These characters... are real throwbacks to the early X-Men.
Yes.
And they've come along. The X-Men have changed a lot. This is really focused on they are young people. Like Jean Grey, I think, is 24 in this.
She's only a baby.
Yeah, they're young. They're not teenagers anymore, as they're wont to point out.
But they're young'uns.
But they are young, and they keep being called young, and the people are like, these bloody interfering young people, and they're all pretty damn young. Like, they're young enough that that Kitty Pryde, Shadowcat, what's her name? Sprite. She has several. That it's not too creepy that she finds Colossus attractive.
Yeah, we just managed that.
A little bit creepy.
It's a little bit
tiny
weird.
bit creepy.
Look.
But, you know who else is young in this? Wolverine.
Wolverine's supposed to be quite a young man.
Isn't it interesting?
Yeah, there's a section at the beginning, Michael, in the danger room.
Where he's having a strop.
He's having a proper strop as well.
And he's like, I'm not a kid anymore, Charles Xavier, you son of a bitch.
Chrome Dome, I believe is what he calls it.
Does he call him Chrome
Dome?
Dome?
Yeah. Well, I'll read it here.
You read it. Do it in a Wolverine voice.
Where are you going? Wolverine!
Wait, hold on a second. You started off doing Charles Xavier.
That's Charles Xavier.
But you did it in Wolverine's voice.
Oh, okay.
So start as Charles Xavier.
Wolverine.
Yes.
Where are you going?
Yes,
Wolverine.
Yes.
And then Cyclops says, ease up, mister. What's going on in there?
Very good, yeah.
And then we have, of course, I'm no kid anymore, Summers, and I'm so flaming amateur. So where does Chrome Dome get off treating me like one? You tell Xavier that I told you, bub. Wolverine don't jump through hoops for nobody. Now, I don't know why I made Wolverine from Brooklyn, but I did.
What happened there? What happened to Wolverine?
I did.
But anyway, this is clearly before Wolverine. This, in many ways... Yeah, so anyway, look, I'm shooting my own load there too early, like Chris Claremont writing this.
No.
Like, the characters are not the characters quite that we know today.
This is pre-Weapon X, is it?
Yeah, this is, like, in a lot of ways... Shall we get into Wolverine a little bit? Or do you want to
I think we kind of have to. I mean, the Uncanny X-Men introduces us to Wolverine as a weapon of the Canadian government.
Yeah, okay, let's get into Wolverine a little bit. This is clearly... I mean, this isn't me having insight here. This is just a fact. This is before a lot of the defining characteristics that we know of Wolverine today existed. So he's one of the team. He's not a grizzled old veteran in this.
No, not at all.
He apparently appears to be like a hairy 24-year-old.
It's pretty hairy.
A hairy, creepy 24-year-old.
Pretty creepy.
We all know one. We won't call him Mick.
No, we won't. But we all know one.
We all know one.
We all know
but
one.
He doesn't have that the really troubled past.
No,
the
none of that
memories, or he's just a weird, hairy 24-year-old who's sick of being treated like a child.
Which is, fair.
And Ben, you sent me a text during the week. There's a very iconic panel in this, and I'm stealing this from somewhere, Ben. Like the creators of the X-Men animated series stole the theme tune from Linda Policewoman.
In Hungary.
I read this 20 years ago.
Okay.
So I'm stealing this from somewhere, but I don't know from where.
Okay.
But the panel where the fat man with the gravity powers, Leland?
I'm not sure.
I think it's Leland.
I don't know where it is.
So Leland crashes Wolverine through the floor. And they all think he's done for. Then they beat all the X-Men. They beat up Storm, like roughly carrying her around and then throw her in a pile. By the hair. Yeah, by the hair. And then throw her in a pile. That's the one,
That's very apt.
Yeah. So they've beaten everyone. Wolverine has been disposed of. And then we'll see at the end of the episode, the issue, we see the water down under the ground. Not there, no.
Harry Leland.
Yeah, I know. I was pretending not to know.
Oh, sorry.
We see. Yes, there's the page.
There it is.
So we see like a sewer, and there's water, and then a hand pops up, and then it's Wolverine's hand, and he grabs it, and he pulls himself out of the thing, and he says, "You had your shot. Now it's my turn," or something like that.
Now it's my turn. That,
for many people, Ben, that's the birth of the character of Wolverine that we know and love today.
Definitive Wolverine.
That is that panel there is the birth of modern Wolverine.
Oh, okay. Very formative.
Yes.
Very formative.
Like easy to miss because these days we have such a strong view of what Wolverine is. But that's where it comes from.
Oh. So it's for those of you who may have picked up the X-Men Dark Phoenix Saga Milestones edition. Oh, this isn't the Milestones edition. Which one is this?
I don't know.
Anyway, it's the 5th reprinting of the X-Men Dark Phoenix Saga, and it's on page 75.
Yeah,
if you're looking for it.
I mean, it's the end of the issue. It's the next issue is called Wolverine Alone or something like that.
Wolverine alone. Yeah, exactly.
So the end of the issue before that is the defining Wolverine panel in Wolverine history.
One of the things that I enjoyed most about this, Michael, is that we actually see the full covers in between each issue.
It's good, isn't it?
I quite enjoyed that, because sometimes, Michael, a Marvel trade paperback will be a bit skimpy.
There's lots of extra bonus stuff.
There's
in this.
lots of bonus content in this for a change.
No, there's not lots. There's no director's commentary or anything like that. It's just covers, but it's not bad.
There's a few little layout pages.
Yeah, layout pages.
Oh, look, the kinky layout pages.
Oh,
look.
Yeah. Oh, there's Storm getting beaten up again.
Down here. He just his buttocks is thick. Sebastian Shaw is thick, maybe with 3 C's, Michael.
Yeah. And he's going bald. So
and he's going bald.
Testosterone.
Maybe that's just to show he's much older than the 24-year-olds.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless we find out later that Sebastian Shaw is actually a really thick 26-year-old.
That'd be good. Also, the mutton chops on that on Jason Wingard are pretty good too.
Exactly. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of it.
He's a weird fetishist.
We'll have to come back, Michael, to I suppose dialogue again.
Go on.
And I mentioned a little bit earlier, and you didn't let me go away with it. Some of the dialogue, Michael.
Oh yeah, go on.
That pops out. Some of the racial profiling. Banshee. Just at the beginning of this.
Oh, he talk like that though.
May the devil, no, may you be dead a full half hour before the devil knows you're gone. Get to heaven. May you be in heaven a full half hour before the devil knows you're dead.
There you go. You got it in the end. I think that is an Irish phrase though.
I know, but my God.
People do say that. People say that to me all the time. No, it's
they don't.
Fuck you and go to hell.
Yeah, fuck you and go to hell. That's more accurate.
I got it wrong.
One of my favourite ones is, as always, bloody Colossus. Lenin's ghost is one of his catchphrases in this.
Lenin's ghost.
And Boj moi, which is the one that he always kind of lashes out. And Kurt Wagner is just amazing. They have the V instead of the E in a lot of the phrases.
Yeah, very good.
It's
all very good.
Oh boy. It's just really weird.
Isn't an interesting thing about this as well, Ben, how relatively low powered all the X-Men are.
Yeah, they're not that strong.
Yeah, like Nightcrawler hurts himself. He hurts his hand punching some guards. Colossus nearly gets overpowered by a mere robot.
A mere robot.
All of these characters now have become
almost Omega level
elemental powerhouses. Like Nightcrawler has access to a whole other dimension.
Yeah, because his powers, he's not actually a mutant. He's kind of a demon hybrid,
a demon angel thing. Yeah, and Colossus has potentially unlimited strength, and Storm is psionic like she can just do a bit of wind. He's metal. He can do a teleport.
They have basic powers,
and there's no doubt in this that the Avengers would wipe the floor with them.
Yeah, they would.
There's no doubt,
comfortably.
Yeah,
Spider-Man could probably wipe the floor with a few.
Because they're just bloody young adults.
And as we know, Michael, young adults are not organised.
Bloody useless. Can't bloody show up on time for a meeting. Can't. I'm not talking about you. I'm not talking about you in particular. You're not a young adult anymore.
I'm old now.
When we started this podcast, you were probably the age that the X-Men are.
Yeah, when we started this podcast.
Yeah. And I mean, go back and listen to that. See how annoyed I am at Ben's timekeeping.
Anyway, moving on from there, it's interesting because, as you said, a lot of the characteristics of the X-Men that we know today aren't here.
No.
Another one that would be quite keen to look at is Cyclops. Yeah. He's not the kind of tactical, conniving down to earth guy that he is in the new comics. No. He's quite unsure. He's got unsteady footing, and he's challenged by bloody dickhead Charlie in the wheelchair.
He is. He's young and in love.
And he's there's a little throwback to Connie Wu from. Not Connie Wu.
Colleen Wing.
Colleen Wing. That was it. Colleen
Wing.
Colleen Wing. Apparently he was dating her there for a second. He was like, no, I wasn't dating her, Gene, because I love you. And they have this big melodramatic.
She doesn't even have red hair.
The melodrama in this is astounding, Michael.
I know.
It's just phenomenal.
You see, I think, Ben, that you didn't really particularly like this. But
I didn't. But
that's interesting because you have to look at this. This is a creative flippin' explosion.
Yeah.
The ideas that are in these 12 issues. Is it 12 issues?
I'm not good at maths. 129 to 137?
Yeah, that's 12.
No, it's 8 issues, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, 8
But
issues.
the ideas in these 8 issues, I mean, by God, man, what an explosion of...
There's a lot going on.
Like, Ben, 40 years later, we're still dealing with Sebastian Shaw, Emma Frost, Harry Leland.
Emma Frost became huge.
Emma Frost, the Hellfire Club, Kitty Pryde, Dazzler, the whole concept of Dark Phoenix. All of this stuff happens in these 8 issues. In modern comics, each one of those points would be an 8-issue run.
Yeah.
And not only that, Ben, this wasn't designed to be a collected series, a graphic novel, like a lot of comics are now. So it's part of a run. It's a legendary part of a run. But there are other threads running through this, which, if you just read this as a collected edition thing, they don't make a lot of sense. A lot of time and energy is invested into introducing the character of Catherine Pride and Dazzler.
Yeah.
And then they're gone. Like, what was the point of them? You know,
well, I mean, Kitty Pryde became huge later.
I know she does, obviously, but I'm saying if you were to read this as a collected issue, a modern comic wouldn't bloody do that.
No,
they
not at all.
wouldn't invest so much time in introducing a new character
and just toss it aside.
And then toss them aside with probably the plan of coming back later. But in a modern comic, she would have been instrumental in the ending of this. Her and Dazzler would have both been very important. But no, they're like characters in Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.
Bit throwaway.
Introduced and thrown away. Now, they both go on to be very big characters in X-Men Legend, but I mean, White Queen dies in this.
Yeah.
Her first ever death. Yeah. But she obviously doesn't.
She obviously doesn't, because she's bloody central to the X-Men now.
Yeah, she gets better.
Could be argued that she is Scott Summers' greatest love. Yeah. She has now surpassed Jean Grey.
This whole thing of Wolverine getting thrown down into the basement, nearly drowning, coming back up on his own against all odds, being scrappy, like getting beaten up by all the guys with bludges. Yeah. You know when we were watching that bit where he's getting beaten up with all the guys with bludges and we were going, it's Wolverine, he'll be fine.
We didn't know that then.
Didn't know that then. Then that was a bloody formative Wolverine moment of, they've got him. And then he comes in with them all dragging off him and he's like, I'm going to get you. Oh my God.
Such prowess.
And the bit where they all get chained up with the arms behind the back and Cyclops has the gimp hood on. What the hell?
What's going
on, Chris? Come on, Chris. Jesus.
Chris, baby, you're killing me. Could you just imagine Stan Lee reading that and be like, well, this is different from my comics. I don't hate it, but my God.
Can I read it in my room? On my own?
Close my office door.
Close my office door, Jack.
Do you think that's the noise he made when he finished? Excelsior!
I don't want to talk about that now, to be honest with you. But yeah, it's a veritable smorgasbord, an explosion of ideas and concepts.
Yeah, it is.
The likes of which we don't, I feel, see in comics anymore.
Well, you probably wouldn't. I mean, I made a note there, Michael, earlier. We have a new run of the X-Men now at the minute.
You did.
It's a new Hickman run. And he's really he's pulling a classic Hickman, Michael.
Oh,
there's a lot of retconning and stuff like that.
He likes retconning.
But it's funny, the dynamics that are established here with the X-Men work very well as a team and they're kind of very bonded together, has been reintroduced because the X-Men have been schismed for a long time, mainly due to the fact that Marvel couldn't get the rights back to the X-Men.
Yeah, that hurt. That hurt the X-Men.
Let's phase those fuckers out.
Yeah, let's get the Inhumans. People love the Inhumans.
No.
They don't.
They don't. And now we are seeing that reintroduction, and I guess Jonathan Hickman's been brought on board. He's like, come on, make it golden again, baby.
Do a House of X for us.
Do a House, pretty much. And we're getting that redefinition of powers. Those central kind of core characteristics for different characters are being brought back as well. But it's very strange. There's a real Claremont energy to the new...
Is everyone always getting tied
X-Men?
up?
Yeah.
How are they?
Kind of. There's a lot of tying up, but there's a lot of unusual alliances. Apocalypse is now on the X-Men's team.
Right.
There's a lot of strange concepts just brought in. So what you said about like a huge creative kind of outburst is kind of being reaffirmed in the new X-Men run, which is really interesting to read. I think you might really enjoy, Michael, the new X-Men run.
Apocalypse.
Very good.
I don't know if I would, though, because you see, I don't think that's a creative explosion in the same way, because you've just said, believe it or not, Apocalypse is an X-Man now. I don't care. You know what I mean? That's not creative. That's just, let's put Apocalypse there. That's like classic Hickman. And I'm as big a Hickman fan as anyone, Ben. There's a whole collection of the Invincible comics there.
Yes.
That's probably...
That's not Hickman.
Oh, no, that's not Hickman. That's Kirkman. So many men
working comics.
But I do like a Hickman. I got you, I believe, onto the... What was that one called that we can never remember what it's called, where the universe ended?
Oh, God.
The white events and the...
I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember. Battle World, all that.
Oh, yeah. But I can't remember what it is. We also did East of West at one point. We covered East of West here on the podcast.
You know, I don't think that's as creative as this. This is like, Here's a new character. I like this one. She can go through the floor. Here's a new character. She does a disco.
She does a disco.
She does a disco. Now we're off here. Look at these people. They're all in fetish gear. Look at this guy. He's fat, but he'll make you heavy.
He's fat, but he'll make you heavy. He ain't heavy.
Yeah, this guy's got he's got a robot arm and he's running away. So you know what I mean? There's so much going on in this.
So that's pretty much why it's such a formative thing then. It's just really playing around with some concepts.
And then, Ben, bloody suddenly, we're in space.
Yeah, then we have the cosmic odyssey of... It's such a dark moment. One of my favourite panels from when I began reading this was... little do they know of the oncoming Holocaust.
Yeah, Holocaust is
which is just a strong term to throw into an 80s comic. That's a fresh memory in the 80s. I think it's the impending Holocaust, is it? The calm before the Holocaust is the quote. Ooh.
But there's a Holocaust.
There is a bloody Holocaust.
She kills a whole race.
She destroys an entire planet for the Bants.
Yeah.
Because she's a bit peckish.
She's peckish. Because she's a frail woman. You know, women, very powerful, but very emotionally
unstable. Hangry in women. Oh, buddy. Oh, boy.
This whole thing should have been called Hangry Jean Grey.
Hangry Jean Grey.
Can we just point out here, Ben, just for... we're making fun of this.
We're making fun of this because it's quite funny to see that kind of characterization. We don't support it and we don't think it's a good idea.
There's Colossus in his underpants.
He does. He transforms the minute he wakes up. Yeah. It's his morning wood.
I like how Colossus wakes up like, oh, I have a bit of a stretch, and Storm wakes up all sexy.
She's like a feline cat.
And like
in woman form.
And bloody lion.
Look, there's a lot of racial stereotypes. There's a lot of ethno stereotypes going around.
We forgot about her. We forgot about when Storm fights the lady with the whip.
Oh, whip lady.
Yeah, and gets choked out by her.
Again.
Leave Storm alone, Claremont.
Leave Storm's windpipe alone. God, the trauma.
I like when Colossus fights Gladiator.
Yeah, that's quite enjoyable. That's quite enjoyable. He gets a whooping.
Gladiator is not a key character in this story.
No, he's not huge as he is later. But anyway, Michael, we're coming to the end of our time here. Yeah. We've really covered why it's formative. If people like this Chris Claremont sexy goodness...
We didn't really talk about Johnny B very much.
Johnny B. John Byrne's art is to me, this is like the definitive X-Men. This is the X-Men I think of when I think of the X-Men. That kind of spandex covered Cyclops with a little band.
Yeah.
One of the first comics I ever read, Michael, was a reprinting of the Uncanny X-Men #1 with the new team.
I like Jean Grey in that panel.
That is prime McLeonard Jean Grey. And the formative X-Men for me was that Uncanny X-Men #1, and John Byrne was the artist. I'm not sure if Chris Claremont was the writer.
Did anyone get tied up or mind controlled?
I don't think so.
Probably not then.
I don't think so. But this was where I was introduced to. This is where the original X-Men get captured on Krakoa.
Oh.
And bloody Charles Xavier, rather than go do something about himself, is like, I'll just get a new bunch of young fellas to do it.
Yeah, new bunch of gang of lads.
So this is where we were introduced to Colossus, Storm, Banshee, Nightcrawler, and Wolverine. And that for me was formative. When I think of the X-Men, I still think the love of Scott Summers' life is Jean Grey.
Jean!
When realistically... Yeah. That's probably not true
No,
anymore.
It's just mutant kind.
It's just mutant kind.
Yeah, mutant kind is his love.
He has a real love of mutant kind.
Yeah, he's not as much of a prick in this.
He's not.
He's the main character in this, you could argue. Well, Jean, obviously, but, I mean, he's the main character with any sort of agency.
Yeah.
Jean is the main plot device.
Oh, God. Puppet Jean Grey.
Oh, it's bizarre.
Anyway... If they enjoyed this sexy goodness, Michael, what other sexy Claremont goodness could they get into?
Well, I don't know. What else did Claremont write? There's a lot of tentacle stuff.
Look, we're going to stay away from Claremont. If you enjoyed this kind of classic X-Men...
No, hold on. I'm going to stop you there. We've been taking the piss out of Chris Claremont because his sexual fetishes are just so close to the
legendary.
It's legendary. But he does write a lot of good stuff. There's so much good stuff in this.
Yeah. Take a look at the whole Uncanny X-Men run before the tentacle stuff and see what you think. It's really classic archetypal X-Men stuff. There's a lot of formative moments where they kind of get these archetypes that we all know and love.
Definition of the X-Men.
Yeah.
When you're reading this, you're watching the X-Men being defined, and it's very easy to look back nearly 40 years later and go, oh, so hokey. So hokey. Look how he doesn't really respect women. And I mean, it is all quite, but there's so much good stuff here.
Juicy X-Men
You're watching Wolverine, the character of Wolverine, one of the defining characters of the early 20th century pop culture landscape.
Yes, fair.
I'm glad I got that out in one
That
sentence.
was excellent.
You're watching the formation, the definition of that character.
What makes that character badass?
I know. And Jean Grey, Ben, for all that you could say about her, this is her greatest story.
It's the thing that defines her for the rest of her arc.
Yeah, this is the defining Jean Grey story. In the same way as Superman is the last son of Krypton, Jean Grey is the tragic Dark Phoenix.
Yep,
that's her definition, and they
default.
Keep bringing her back and stop it. I think this is a great comic. If you can look at it and go, he really does like when women get subjugated and mind controlled. If you can just look at it and go, all right, we'll just put that aside for a second. We'll just put that aside for a second. That it was fine in the 80s. He's still like that though, so it doesn't. But that was fine. That's all good. You can do whatever you like. If you can separate that from it, there's so much goodness in this, and there's a reason why 40 years later it's still one of the defining moments in popular comic culture.
It's great.
So, I won't have a bad word said about it.
I think you could also probably take a look at the X-Men animated series that we mentioned earlier for those kind of classic archetypal X-Men.
Well, I mean, that is this story retold without a lot of the psychosexual stuff.
Bloody psychosexual stuff.
And with a happy ending.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll
Excelsior.
We'll throw that Excelsior. We'll throw that in there. I'm not sure what else to recommend here, Michael.
Well, just go and read some bloody classic
Claremont X-Men.
Claremont. Did Claremont do God Kills? Man Loves God Kills?
I think that was
God Loves
Claremont.
Man Kills.
And then there's Fall of the Mutants, which is fairly formative. That's when the Horsemen of Apocalypse are kind of introduced and that kind of thing.
I mean, there's lots of good stuff in there, and you're really seeing the defining of these characters as we know and love them today.
So that's it from us for this week,
what
ladies and gentlemen.
At?
That was an excellent final line there from Michael.
Oh, you ruined it. Laughing at me, making you feel insecure.
If you want, just enjoy the excitement that he occasionally, ladies and gentlemen, you won't get to see this, but Mick takes on a kind of childlike glee when talking about old runs on comics.
I've got my action figures.
It's quite enjoyable to watch.
Oh my God, I am Kurt Wagner.
Oh God. Which racial stereotypes do you think we missed on this week's podcast, ladies and gentlemen? Were you formed by the Chris Claremont X-Men? Did you enjoy the Chris Claremont run on X-Men? What other recommendations would you have? Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, we bring this podcast out every 2 weeks. We are always looking for recommendations. So if you have a comic book, a trade paperback that you would like covered here on the podcast, please do get in touch with us. There are a number of ways to do that. Yeah. We have seomrabeag.com, SEOMORABEAG.com.
It means tiny room in Irish.
It does indeed. You can get in touch with us there and keep up to date with everything we're doing on the podcast. If you're more of a casual social media user, you can find us on Instagram. Get
on the Insta.
Give us an L follow.
Get on the Insta.
Send that over. If you enjoy some strange video content, you can find us over on YouTube.com.
Haven't uploaded a lot recently.
Haven't done a lot recently, but we have some good classics on there as well. If you want to see me awkwardly interviewing people in good costumes, head on over there and give it an eyeball.
Maybe someone will be Jean Grey. I don't think there is though.
I don't think there is though. And that's it from us this week, ladies and gentlemen. We'll talk to you again in the future. Bye.
Oh, goodbye. The 60 mind control. Oh, I thought you were going to stop it.
No, you're the stopper. You're the stopper.